I was in seminary, there were a bunch of times throughout every year that the individual seminarian would be reviewed and evaluated. The seminary would always stress that the evaluations shouldn't be only positive. There should be honesty about areas for ongoing formation. I remember my own evaluations very well, evaluations by professors, evaluations by supervisors, evaluations by the entire seminary formation team. And there is also an opportunity to be evaluated by one's peers. Every year, each seminarian, each man was asked to pick 3 fellow seminarians to make an honest assessment. What are Kyle's strengths? What are Kyle's weaknesses? What does Kyle do well? What could Kyle improve upon? Now, I'll tell you, in full honesty, I did not enjoy this process. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely saw the necessity of it, trying to form us into priests. But it is never fun to receive criticism. Can't I just go on my merry way, blissful in my ignorance of my shortcomings, pretending that I'm perfectly okay just the way that I am? And the criticism becomes even more difficult to bear when it is criticism or correction over something I know I've done wrong, a vice or a sin. That's when that old familiar demonic voice pops up. The "who do you think you are?" demon. The "so you think you're better than me?" demon. The "how dare you?" demon. But what we risk missing if we listen to that demon is that criticism, correction, when it is for the purpose of helping us to grow in holiness, when it is striving to steer us away from sin, well, that criticism is actually love. Psalm 141, verse 5 states it succinctly. Let a righteous person strike me. It is mercy if he reproves me. In our second reading today from Romans, Paul reminds us of the love and mercy that we owe each other. Owe nothing to anyone, he says, except to love one another. For the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. Then he reminds us of some of the basic tenets of the law. You shall not commit adultery, you shall not kill, you shall not steal, you shall not covet. But Paul makes clear that all these negative commandments, meaning the thou shalt nots, they are fulfilled in the positive commandment. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Paul concludes, love does no evil to the neighbor. Hence, love is the fulfillment of the law. Now, I fear that we modern people have misread this passage. I know I have in the past. When we hear that love does no evil to the neighbor, many of us hear that love does not offend. That is not what Paul said. Offense is not given. Offense is only ever taken, meaning that I can choose to be offended or not. Remember that old familiar demonic voice that pops up when I receive criticism. Who do you think you are? So you think you're better than me? How dare you? That demon loves to convince us that the correct response to criticism or correction is to get offended. What that demon would have us believe is that true love is placation. True love is appeasement. True love is you do you, boo. If they loved you, they'd let you be. Who do they think they are anyway? But for God, for the God who is capital L love, love is not indifference towards my brother's sin. Love is not appeasement. Love does not placate. No. Love is the cross. Love is the choice that Jesus made on the cross to reconcile us with God. Love does not placate. Love does not appease. Love does not turn a blind eye to my brother's sin. Love seeks to rescue my brother from his sin. Love is the courage that Jesus had to say, no, you are not okay. You are sick. You are dying. You are mired in your sin. And if left to your own devices, you will spend an eternity separated from me. And I love you too much to stand by. So, Jesus says, I will take your punishment on myself. You chose death over life, so I choose the cross. You chose separation from God with your sin, so I willingly take on separation. I, the Son of God, God himself, truly God and truly man, I who have been one with the Father from all eternity, I will undergo painful separation from the Father on the cross, so much so that I will cry out, my God, why have you abandoned me? I will do that because I love you so much. That is love. That is the love that we are all called to participate in as disciples. It is that participation in love that Jesus calls us to in today's gospel. Last week, you'll remember that Jesus challenged all of us who wish to come after him to deny ourselves, to take up our cross and follow him. Well, here's our chance. Has a brother or a sister Christian sinned against you? Go and tell them their fault, between you and them alone. If they listen to you, you have won over your brother or your sister. If they do not listen, then take one or two others along with you, so that every fact may be established on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they refuse to listen to the witnesses, tell the church. And if they refuse to listen even to the church, then treat them as you would a Gentile or a tax collector. What is Jesus doing here? Is he just giving us a roadmap to conflict resolution? Jesus is telling us how to do something that is a lost art, not just in the modern world, but in the modern church. Fraternal correction. Brother correcting brother. Sister correcting sister. The body of Christ healing itself, correcting its members. Jesus is telling us in very clear terms how to be reconciled with one another. By the way, what doesn't Jesus say? Jesus doesn't say, if your brother sins against you, complain about him on Twitter. Jesus doesn't say, if your brother sins against you, make sure you post a strongly worded post on Facebook. He doesn't say, if your brother sins against you, give him the silent treatment. Jesus doesn't say, if your brother sins against you, it's time to get passive-aggressive. He doesn't say, if your brother sins against you, return like for like, violence for violence, sin for sin. Love your neighbor as yourself. And what if we are the ones who are being corrected? What if you're like me in seminary and you're getting feedback, evaluation from your peers? Can't I just go on my merry way, blissful in my own ignorance, pretending I'm just okay the way I am? Remember Psalm 141, verse 5. Let a righteous person strike me. It is mercy if he reproves me. No one enjoys criticism. I know I really don't enjoy criticism. No one enjoys being corrected or having a fault or worse, a sin pointed out. It's painful. It can be offensive. But it is mercy if the righteous man reproves me. When that old familiar demonic voice pops up, that "who do you think you are" demon, that "so you think you're better than me" demon, the "how dare you" demon, I need to remember in those moments that true love seeks to reconcile. True love is far too deep, far too relentless, far too stubborn to let me stay mired in my own sinfulness. True love is the cross. When a righteous man strikes or reproves me, it is kindness. When a brother or sister corrects me, it is love. Thank God for those courageous brothers and sisters. Please God, may I be that kind of courageous. May I love with that kind of authentic, Christ-like love.